Just be a quick video. Anyway, first off, hey y'all, Kakarot Jenkins here. Um, be a quick video on the baby reindeer update. I guess Piers Morgan went ahead and personally emailed Richard Gadd, still waiting for him to get back to him. But let's dive into it. I said we would stay up to date with the baby reindeer stuff, and we're going
Welcome to a special edition of Morgan's Mailbag, which today is all about just one interview.
This show is incredible.
Baby reindeer.
We got absolutely obsessed.
My beef curtains.
I did not move.
My beef
Everybody
curtain.
is talking about baby reindeer.
Now fans are trying to find the real people behind the story.
Because it does depict real life events.
It's blown up so quickly and so fast all around the world that I didn't expect it.
Look down the barrel of that camera. To people who still doubt you, what do you say to them? Yes, my one-on-one with Fiona Harvey,
Just
aka
the look
the
she
real
gave
Martha from Baby
people that
Reindeer,
doubt you. Just
has
the
been
look.
watched more than
Just
12
the
million
fucking
times
look she
on our
gave.
uncensored YouTube channel, and literally tens of millions more across other social platforms. It's also provoked hundreds of thousands of comments, reactions, questions, and hot takes from the media world, which tend to be often pretty cold. I'll be reacting to a selection of those, but before we get started, a quick reminder of the interview that got the whole world talking. What do you hope to achieve in this interview?
I came on your show because you're a veteran broadcaster. I think you'll give me a fair hearing. I find it quite obscene. I find it horrifying, misogynistic. Some of the death threats have been really terrible online. I don't think I've sent him anything.
You're basically accusing both him but also Netflix of lying about it.
I am.
Did you go to jail? Did you have
No,
a
of
trial?
course not. Of course not.
Did Netflix ever contact you?
No, no one's contacted me.
Never.
Never.
What do you feel about Richard Gadd?
I think he's psychotic.
Were you ever in love with him?
I still think
Yes.
it's funny that Richard Gadd hasn't come out and said a single word about it yet.
Is that a serious question?
Okay, here's just a snapshot of your instant reactions. At Reindeer
I
said,
really think
this is the
that's
most
weird.
fascinating interview I've ever watched. The lies are crazy. At Eric Johnson, 9663, wrote, the longer this interview went on, the more she confirmed to everyone she's exactly like the character in the show. This interview was a disaster for her, and having watched...
I mean, she did act a little bit just like she did in the show. I mean, she definitely did.
my interview, at John O'Gibb gave a shout out to actress Jessica Gunning, who played Martha in Baby Reindeer, saying the actor who played Martha deserves an Emmy. She nailed that role.
some more
Ha
light
ha
in
ha.
here.
Oh my God. So several things to
There
unpick
we
there.
go.
One is that, the actress did play the role very well of the real life Fiona Harvey. Very well.
She really
Too
did.
well, you might think. If the whole desire of Richard Gadd, the author, of course, about whose story this is, and Netflix was to hide the identity of the real life people behind these characters, then why would you choose an actress who looks quite similar to her and who you make speak exactly like her? And why would you then use extracts from posts and messages in the series which could be immediately traced back to Fiona Harvey? So I think there was a real duty of care failing, I think, by everyone involved in this, which meant that she was identified. That, of course, is why she decided to come on my show, because she wanted to have her say as everyone was having their say about her.
Which
Now,
is
it's
only
to say
fair.
The vast majority of you agree that the similarity between Fiona and Martha was striking. Alice Moore, however, thinks there's still room for doubt. Wow, this is really fascinating. I don't know what to believe now. I think she's quirky. I don't think she's as mad as the character. The character seemed a lot more vulnerable in a way that she couldn't hide it, whereas this lady doesn't come across as a stalker to me. Well, look, I don't know if she is a stalker in the way that Richard Gadd.
She didn't seem like she was too... She seemed a tad bit narcissistic during the interview with Piers. But other than that, she didn't seem like... She didn't come off as some, like, hugely crazy-ass person to me. Not to me, anyway. I mean, I've dealt with some really crazy people, so... I don't know, crazy might look different to me.
Sent a lot of messages to him. I do think she probably had an unhealthy obsession with him. But was she a convicted criminal for the stalking? Did she ever get found guilty of stalking him?
And that's another thing before we continue. I don't know that... I don't think anyone's ever found out about if she's even been to jail. Because in the Baby Reindeer show, they made it seem like she went to jail like for like 9 months and like as a prison stint of a convicted stalker. But that's yet to come out. Like, so I don't think anybody's even found that yet.
Netflix and Richard Gadd say yes, she did, but no one can produce a shred of evidence that that ever happened. And so the whole credibility, frankly, of their position, this is a true story, is in a perilous place unless we see that evidence of a court case and a conviction.
Exactly.
A lot of the initial commentary around the interview focused on whether we were right to give Fiona a platform at all. Amy Bulldog 9689 said, this woman is clearly mentally unwell. I think it's unethical to put her on TV to satisfy his audience's morbid curiosity. Well,
that being said, right here, this woman is clearly mentally unwell. If you guys watch the interview with me and or by yourselves, she didn't come off as mentally unwell. I mean, it didn't seem like I said, there was like a tad bit of some narcissism there. Like you could tell that maybe she has a little narcissistic behavior, but other than that, she didn't like. There's been no documented proof that she's like mentally unstable and like has gotten like that from like a physician and or seemed mentally unwell or unhinged while she was on the show at all.
how do you know she's mentally unwell? That's your assessment. We've seen no independent evidence that she has a mental illness. We've seen no evidence she ever got convicted of any crime. So who are you, frankly, to judge whether she's vulnerable or not? She volunteered to come on the show. She wanted to set the record straight. Everyone was talking about her. And Richard Gadd, of course, let's remember, has talked openly about his own mental health problems.
Not only that, as he talked about having like a huge stint of time where he was just like, before the guy raped him, that he was doing like a bunch of drugs and shit. So his memory could just be scrambled eggs at this. It could be scrambled eggs at this point, but nothing indicated. And as far as that she shouldn't have a platform for her voice, he's been on all these other talk shows and doing interviews about the baby reindeer thing. Like he had a platform to say that she was crazy. She should have a platform to refute that.
He was given a platform despite that. So why shouldn't Fiona Harvey, given what happened to her?
And no, I didn't watch this yet at all. I just figured we could cover it together.
And Jen
like we did.
D573 said, to balance things up, we need to now give the person behind the baby reindeer phenomenon an invitation. Get Richard Gadd on your show now. It's only fair. I completely agree. I've personally emailed
I would love to see
Richard
that.
Gadd, although, of course, I accept his inbox may be a little
I
full.
would love to see Richard Gadd get on the show and explain himself, really.
I don't mean that glibly. I mean,
and this girl right here, she needs to win a fucking award for how she played that part.
it really might be.
She played the part of like a genuine psycho.
So I hope he reads it. I hope he does come on the show. I certainly wouldn't give him a hard time. He, I think, has gone into this with the best of intentions. But
Yeah,
has
he's
he
got to
blurred the
answer for
lines
himself.
of his own story from non-fiction to fiction? Did he invent the fact that she got convicted or not? I'd love to know the answer to that, because
Me too.
that's the big part of
I would
the
like
last
to know if
episode.
he's being
Speaking of
serious or
Richard
not.
Gadd, what always has been going on, he's been on the red carpet in America and then at the BAFTAs, soaking up the plaudits for his acclaimed drama, and quite rightly, it's a great piece of work.
It
But in
is.
response to the controversy surrounding the identity of the real Martha and other
Regardless if it's true or not, it was a great piece of media to take in.
characters in the series, he's now drawing a line, saying in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, I don't think I'll ever comment on it ever again. That may be a little convenient, Richard. I've got to be honest with you. I hear you're a great guy from people.
I agree with Piers said. It might be a little convenient. Like, you make this huge splash and this girl is like as crazy as you're claiming she is, but no, you can't just out the girl as a convicted stalker and then be like, hey guys, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm not gonna comment on it anymore. No, you owe the public a great deal of conversation now, because you made heavy allegations against somebody, like levied serious allegations against somebody. You can't just walk away and just be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it now. No, you need to answer for that shit.
People I know who know you, who've worked with you, and you're a very talented writer, and you've had a massive success with this series. But you can't just suddenly stop talking about it, given the repercussions that have spun off this series, in particular for people.
Right, because if she sues him and Netflix and none of that shit is true, they stand to have to give this girl a fat check, a real fat check.
Like Fiona Harvey. There was a duty of care failure, regardless of whether everything in that series was true. You allowed people to find out who she was far too easily. And on these crucial questions about whether she was convicted and went to prison, you got to produce some evidence or some answers.
Yeah.
Or an apology, probably a large check to her.
Yeah.
Equally,
Fuck yeah. If all that shit is fake, you owe her a lot of money, bro.
Questions about their duty of care policy in the wake of
Like
the interview.
a lot
So when
of
their
money,
policy
bro.
chief appeared in front of a British Parliamentary Select Committee and said this.
Baby Reindeer is an extraordinary story, and it is obviously a true story of the horrific abuse that the writer and protagonist Richard Gadd suffered at the hands of a convicted.
And here they are saying it's real.
We did take every reasonable precaution in disguising the real.
Now, I know we saw all this in the first one, so I could pause it because we know everything this guy's going to continue to say. It's almost over with anyway. But, yeah, he went on in front of British Parliament and claimed how true the story was and how Richard Gadd was really abused by this woman.
Life identities of the people involved in that story.
All of this, of course, raises the question of whether Fiona Harvey might have a legal case against Netflix. In a follow-up debate, we discussed all these various legal questions. And Mark Garagos, a top Hollywood entertainment lawyer, had this to say.
And as somebody who is currently adverse to Netflix, I will tell you, in my experience at least, they do tend to take great liberties when they represent what the particular facts are. And specifically in America, you have a doctrine, both defamation by implication, defamation per se, the accusing her of being a criminal, and kind of doubling down on it by saying she served time. If that is not true, she's got a whale of a case.
There was a lot of reaction to this.
Well, yeah, especially to say, like, besides all the defamatory shit about the stalking and those allegations, alone the fact that you said that she is a convicted stalker and has served 9 months. I think it was 9 months, a 9-month stint for stalking, for, like, being found guilty of it. If that's fake, then damn, bro, you got some questions to answer, bro. You really do.
Propaganda wrote, Netflix absolutely bombed the marketing. All they had to say was based on a true story, and they'd be surely covered legally. At Corrie FPV, on the other hand, doesn't think
but
it's a
they
case
didn't.
to answer. Netflix can say based on a true story, and then sensationalize and make it more dramatic. That's how TV works. Well, they didn't say based.
They didn't say based. They say it on a real life event.
Story. They said this is a true story, and then their executive said that again.
Yeah, they didn't say it's based off of a true story. They said this is a true story. This is a true story from real life events.
In Parliament. So that was their
Can't
word,
say that.
not
You could
ours.
say it's based off of something that was true and then play it up. But you can't just be like, yeah, it's all true. It's not just based true. It's true.
At Colino FG feels any discussion of legal action is all a moot point. She will never sue. She knows exactly that he has all the evidence. Well, she probably does have the evidence, Richard Gadd, of her emails and texts and handwritten letters.
But is it to the
and
extent he claims?
I'm sure he does, which is why Netflix have been so specific about the volume that he received. But we haven't seen, of course, the replies to any of that, although we do know by his own admission that he did lead her on a few times and that he also did stuff to her picture.
Hey. Working into some pictures he sent you in bra and underwear, whatevs. Whatevs. We don't care about that. You know what I mean? If he led her on a couple times, that's whatever too. Just because you lead somebody on a couple times and you work it to them, don't mean that don't justify 41,000 emails, 350 voicemails, and repeated stalking. That doesn't warrant that.
Pictures on his laptop, which was a little bit odd. So there are weird.
I mean, yeah, agreed. It is odd.
Story.
It is odd if a girl is like super hard stalking you. Why are you gonna go and Why are you gonna go and make the gravy to some pictures of her?
Which make it, frankly, a bit of a
I mean,
mess.
that don't
And
make
one of the
no
country's top
sense.
King's counsels, Chris Daw, does think there could be a case for Netflix to answer. He came on Uncensored to say this. Chris, like I said, you spoke to Fiona. As a result of that,
Oh,
will
this
you be
girl.
taking her case?
If you guys, when you guys watch this with me, this girl, oh, I hated her. Look at her face. She's got a fucking. I ain't never beat my girlfriends. I don't ever put my fucking hands on any of them. I've never touched my current girlfriend, but she's got a fucking punchable face. I'm sorry, she's got a fucking punchable attitude.
I'm in discussions now with a law firm in London with a view to taking the case forward.
Like, you just want to punch that cocky look off her fucking
Nuance would be
face.
exaggeration for dramatic effect.
Nuance would be exaggeration for dramatic effect, and it making anything up to make the story more captivating without consent is why this is not good for Netflix. Possibly the receipts may still come
That's why
out.
this isn't good for Netflix. Possibly the receipts may still come out. They might.
Yeah, the evidence might still come out, but as of yet, no evidence to indicate that she has stalked him in the grotesque form he has claimed.
She did go to court and did confess to the crime and was convicted of stalking Richard Gadd. That is game over for this debate as far as Richard Gadd and Netflix and Clark Wilmer Films are concerned.
Yeah, if she definitely had pled guilty to stalking and that comes out, like there's been a case, she pled guilty, she served time for it, then all the rest of this is no, but then the story's true, 100%. You know what I mean? Like you can't deny that.
They claim it's a true story. But if Fiona Harvey's telling the truth and there was no conviction, no court case or anything else like it, then that's going to be a big problem for them legally. Unfortunately, this fascinating discussion was somewhat overshadowed by the contribution of one of the other panel members. We invited Iman Aiton on because she had called me out from my interview on other platforms. Good morning.
She got
and I wanted to hear what she had to say to my face. I don't know where the truth lies.
No, you do know. You do know.
No, hang on.
Don't ever say that.
No, hang on, Iman.
Don't ever say that again in your life.
Iman,
you know.
I don't
you
know.
know.
I don't. Well,
you
okay.
do know.
Don't interrupt.
Sorry,
look at her face.
I'm sorry, I'm really annoyed. Yeah. Chris, you know better.
Just watch these couple. If you didn't watch the interview with us, watch this girl. You'll understand why I said she's got a punchable face.
You're a lawyer. Oh, sorry. Am I correct in saying you're a lawyer?
It's a KC. It's a King's Counsel.
Okay, perfect. Right. So you
extremely senior.
Right. If you did your homework, you would have realised that Richard Gadd made it very clear that Netflix fictionalized the story.
They didn't. Only thing Richard Gadd said about fictionalize was that he fictionalized his own character. So like he played the character Donnie in the show, and that was fictionalized.
He repeats.
They didn't.
Yes, they did. They said it.
But he didn't say that the story in a whole was fictionalized. The whole story's supposed to be true.
They made it very clear, and yet you're saying you want facts.
No, you're wrong.
It. So what are you talking about?
She's done none of those things. This documentary should have never been made, or they should have clarified.
One extreme to the next, with all due respect, and I know I keep interrupting, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Louise Etchell on X said 4 out of 5 panelists treated each other with respect and had a very intelligent and enlightening conversation. Well done, gentlemen. This seemed challenging under the circumstances. At Harlequin 55 compared Iman unfavourably to the real Martha. Oh dear, Fiona was a lot easier to watch than Iman. That says a lot because that interview had me squirming. How embarrassing is she? I would have muted her. Iman did post a message on her own social media about the incident and said that, don't want to invite me back, you're a coward. What you should have said was, Iman, you were a disgrace and you embarrassed yourself, and I'll do what I do best, grill you on my channel again and hold you to account.
How would you do a count? But instead, you take the. Oh, she's so sick. She came out making lies right from the get-go.
Actually, you know what? I'm under no obligation to do any of that. I invite guests on in good intentions. You'd had a bit of a lengthy suspended sentence for calling me a racist ridiculously before. I graciously decided to put that behind us and invite you back, and you blew it. Sorry, man, but you blew it. You were unbelievably rude and aggressively rude to all the other panelists, and you ruined the debate.
She was cocky, arrogant, ignorant. She lied. She made false statements. And that's all after coming back on after Piers, in good faith, brought her back on after she called Piers a racist. Oh, but she had a punchable face. I really despise that woman. If she ever sees, I know I'm nobody, but if she ever sees my video, I would love to debate how much of a grotesque person you are.
It was actually a very good debate. So no, I'm afraid that's it. You will not be back on this show.
Good.
Thankfully, at SoCal
Good.
GC10, thought the contribution from our US panelists made up for things. Piers, thank you very
Good.
much for allowing Tatum and the guy from Popcorn Planet to talk. They should sit on a bus bench outside all night until you put them on again. Yeah, they were great, actually.
Yeah,
Very
yeah. I like everybody else on the panel was amazing except for her.
Very entertaining, very insightful, just the kind of guest that I like to discuss these kind of things. Well, almost time to wrap this special edition of Morgan's Mailbag, but before we do, I thought this comment from @KieferFleming6345 is worth reflecting on. Whatever is true or lies from both sides, it's an awful, sad situation. Stalking is absolutely horrendous. I hope anyone who's gone through it is healing. Yeah, I completely agree. I've had a bit of it myself.
Yeah, stalking
Been on the
it
receiving
can
end of a
be.
few stalkers, not as bad.
I've had one. Yeah, I've had some crazy shit go on where I've had a girl contact my family and friends and send them all kinds of wild shit about me just to you know what I mean, just to ruffle feathers and stuff like that, and it's not pretty. Like it is really awful.
Bad as this, it's a very uncomfortable and difficult thing to experience. I know other people who've had a horrendous time, so I don't trivialize it at all. But this is a messy story, and anyone who thinks there's a clean version of this hasn't really been following it. Richard Gadd, by his own admission, is a very damaged man who went through a lot of drug abuse and promiscuous sex, and clearly
He's even come out and said he's had a lot of. I mean, not that it matters if you have a lot of sexual partners, not that that matters, but he has come out and said that he himself is mentally unwell and suffered a lot of issues because of that, and then that coupled with all the drug use during the time that the stalking was happening, he could have blurred the lines of his own reality.
had a strange relationship with the person he calls his stalker, where he led her on by his own admission. How much, we don't know. How much of what he wrote and what he put on the Netflix show is actually true, we still don't really know. So I wait to see that. But yeah, ultimately it's a sad story with no real winners here. And to his credit, he's never called Fiona Harvey a villain. And I think we wish them all, I certainly do, to come through this better than they went into it. And finally, after the huge reaction to our Baby Reindeer coverage, @The Single Mum Entrepreneur has this suggestion: lots of material over Baby Reindeer 2. Come on, Netflix, let's do this. Well, you know what? If I know my streamers, they're probably already planning it now. Who plays me? Will it be Brad or Leo?
Yeah.
That's it for this week's mailbag. Remember, if you want to watch the whole interview, as well as the debates that follow.
But that's all. I just wanted to touch base on the Baby Reindeer stuff. Said we would keep it up to date over here. We're going to keep you up to date with all the Baby Reindeer stuff that comes out. We'll keep you up with all the Israel, Hamas. I don't know what you want to call it. I call it a war. Everybody else calls it something different. We got shirts. We're doing shirts, custom shirts for people. If you want to stand with Israel, I got them. You want to stand with Palestine, I'll even make you shirts for that. Yeah, I just want to say, once again, been Kakarot Jenkins. Love you all. Thanks for being here.